But let's move into the next topic, and that is the Chicago Bulls mess that we are in. We haven't been able to talk about Fred Hoiberg being fired and Jim Boylan being hired as the new Bulls head coach. We haven't been able to talk about the riot, or at least the strike that the Bulls try to put on, where they said we had a players-only meeting after he wanted to practice us after back-to-back, and Jim Boylan was like, no, that wasn't a players' meeting. We called that meeting. And then, obviously, now the big news coming out that Jabari Parker... he met with Zach, and then now the big news that Jabari Parker is now taken out of the rotation for the Chicago Bulls, and news that good old Zach LaVine is going to be missing 2 games at least with an ankle injury. So a lot going on with the Chicago Bulls. We'll start backwards, and we'll start with Jabari Parker. We'll start with what should the Bulls do with Jabari Parker. Ricky, I'll go to you first. What do you think?
Oh, man. First off, the funny thing is 2 things. First off, the Horace Grant reaction when it's like, yeah, he's being taken out of the rotation, and he's just like, woo, okay, this is what we're going to do. While Kendall Gill is talking about what, like, trying to be like, okay, this is the analysis. Number 2, with them taking him out of the rotation, I am 110% positive that the quote that kind of leaked out about, like, yeah, you know, Boylan said, hey, we had the same thing in San Antonio, and this is what Pop did. And then one of the players saying, we're not the Spurs, and you're not Greg Popovich. 110% Jabari said it. Like, Jabari was probably the one that said that to Boylan, and now he's out of the rotation. But to me, the question of what they should do is trade Jabari Parker. And it has nothing to do with, like, oh, Jabari's trash. It's not like that. It's just... with this contract, we were never going to accept the club option for next year. So trade him, tried to get something out of it. The flip side to that, and Josh Davis, who hit me up on Twitter, just said, at Ricky Widmer, realistic deal for Jabari. I did not message him back right away or tweet him back right away because, Sean, I will tell you this, I don't know a realistic deal for Jabari Parker because I don't know what you would want to give for Jabari Parker, because in my head, my stupid Bulls fan head goes, yeah, I want a first-round pick. And then immediately I go, yeah, he ain't worth a first-round pick. Like, and then I go, how about a second-round pick? And I go, do I really want a second-round pick? Like, what are we going to do with that second-round pick? I know we don't have one this year.
Cash
considerations, which is our best friend here in Chicago. With me, I feel like what the Bulls need to do is trade Jabari Parker. And they need to, the biggest thing is either add a veteran that can help this team and fit in with what they want, or add a young player that isn't like, I'm not like saying like a rookie, but like a young player that can develop with this team that you're very high on that's not campaign.
My thing is, why wouldn't you want to trade like Jabari Parker at all? If someone team was like, yeah, we'll give you a second-round pick for Jabari Parker cash, I would say yes, 100%.
Yeah, I would take that.
You were saying like second-round pick. I really don't want that.
It's not the same as a first round. That's the only thing in my head.
You know what it could turn into a player that's not Jabari Parker,
but
and that's 100% better.
That's better than, yeah, there you go.
I mean, like you could hit gold in the second round. Isaiah Thomas, Nikola Jokic, you could hit anything. If it's not Jabari Parker, I think that's a win.
But the one that I did kind of like this one, I don't think it happened, is I was kind of looking through my Twitter feed, and I came across a trade from Bull Scripted on Twitter had one. And he basically, it was the Bulls would give up, I believe it was Jabari Parker and Justin Holiday, and we would get back Markelle Fultz and Wilson Chandler from the 76ers. And his whole kind of message to it, or explainer, was that we'd get a guy like Wilson Chandler who could be a good veteran for this team.
Wilson or Winston?
Wilson.
Okay.
Last time it was Winston.
Last time it was Winston.
But I know this time. But Wilson Chandler could be that veteran for this team, whereas Markelle Fultz, we could just stash him and say, hey, whatever you're going through, get your body, get your mindset, because we got all the time in the world. You just get right, my friend. And I think in that deal, it was, Parker, Holiday, and a future second for Fultz and Chandler.
You know what I would love?
What?
For Markelle Fultz's future? To not be in Chicago. Because this is the worst run franchise, I think. Maybe.
The Phoenix Suns are... the Phoenix Suns are the worst run
There
franchise.
are some really bad franchises in the NBA.
I think we're better than the Suns. I think we're better than the Timberwolves right now.
No, I disagree on that one. I would 100%
Timberwolves have
more of a future
on their team, and they have a future.
And I mean, like, they kind of messed up with the Jimmy Butler thing, but also the half that's on Jimmy Butler because he was 3 weeks before the season, he was like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna just block the shit out of everyone, steal it, and just be an asshole."
He told him at the beginning of the offseason to trade him.
I guess.
Tibbs ignored him.
That's true, but it came out more.
My team didn't trade the real KD and Lauri Markkanen for what did they get for?
And Zach LaVine.
And Zach LaVine for whatever they. I can't even remember what
Jimmy
they got.
Butler and
no.
Justin
I'm talking
Penn.
about what the T-Wolves got from the 76ers.
Oh, Rocco.
Because basically
Robert
that
Covington,
was it.
Dario.
So you got that for
and Jared Bayless.
So you got that for LaVine, KD, and Lauri Markkanen. I will take what the Bulls got every day. Every day.
Again, whatever.
I don't think we're the worst, but we're not good.
The bottom 5.
Well, we're not the Warriors.
Least. Huh?
Well, I said we're not the Warriors. It's like
you're the opposite of the Warriors for sure. Because the Warriors realize how to be successful in keeping the same 2 boneheads in power position for the past 15 years. It's not been working out. You have 6 coaches in Gar Forman and John Paxson. 6 coaches, and now you're giving them pretty much another one in Jim Boylan. It's pathetic what this team's been able to do.
I just don't get it.
What do you mean? What do you not get?
I don't get how you, like, when they came out and were like, yeah, we're firing Fred Hoiberg, I was like, now? Like, we're doing it now? You either should have done it before the year or after this season. Like, I wasn't mad that he got fired, but it was like, wait, we're going to do that now at this point in the year? Like, what does that help?
It doesn't,
and then keeping
it doesn't matter,
Boylan
though.
for next year, I was like, really? We're not going to even look for a new head coach?
My thing with Boylan is I think you could have given the interim, but also would firing Jim Boylan after this year, be in the cards? Yes. If he tanks that badly and he's that poor of a head coach and this keeps happening, yeah, they can fire him again. Like, they have no reason to keep him around because I don't know what the deal they signed with him is. We don't know what the terms are, but I doubt it's anything lucrative. It's nothing like Fred Hoiberg's 5-year, $25 million contract or 5-year, $30 million contract.
Right.
It's not like they're going to be on the hook for that, a massive amount of money. So I think Jim Boylan's more on a prove-it deal. So I'm not too upset on keeping Jim Boylan or firing Fred Hoiberg, but it's just, when is Jerry Reinsdorf going to wake up and be like, all right, Gar Pax, or at least Gar Forman at least, needs to be moved. And John Paxson cannot have any say in player operations, because I think John Paxson is a pretty good speaker. I think he's a smart guy.
Like, I
think he can be a good face of the franchise. But he should not be making personnel decisions anymore. He should not be making any decisions when it pertains to the Chicago Bulls outside of things, at least when it comes to things on the court. He should not be doing that at all. He should be helping with, like, maybe players' relations, but he should not be doing anything outside of speaking to the media, speaking to players. He should be definitely moved from the position of power that he is in. And Gar Forman, for sure, needs to be thrown into space.
No, he does.
See if
thrown into space.
What we should do is
dramatic.
what we should do is we should ask NASA to show Steph Curry if the moon landing is real and use Gar Forman as a test dummy. It's bad.
No helmet.
Whatever, it doesn't matter as long as he gets to the moon.
Oh man, and my biggest thing, and I've said this to you guys, I haven't had a chance to say it on the podcast, is my biggest complaint with the Fred Hoiberg firing was I never felt like he was set up for success. I never felt like it was like, hey, we're going to bring Fred Hoiberg in and we're going to put the best possible we're going to put the guys that are going to be good for him. It was kind of like, hey, we're going to go with this young talent. And I went to bed last night and I woke up and I thought that was a bad idea. So here's D Wade and here's Rajon Rondo and here's a Viatal situation between Jimmy Butler, D Wade, and the rookies, and Rondo going to get that's a terrible situation to start. And what they should have done from the start was, hey, here's your young talent. We're going to get you more young talent and we're going to build off this young talent. But they didn't. And that's not Fred Hoiberg's fault. It's Garpax's fault. That's where I agree with you. Garpax should be out of here.
What do you want?
I got the answer.
What?
Jabari Parker is going to get traded for... And it's Jabari Parker plus, unfortunately, because of the cap space.
Rolo.
Jabari Parker, Chandler Parsons, and Marshawn Brooks. It gives us a backup shooting guard, which we desperately need, because with Zach LaVine out, we're starting Archie Diacono and Chris Dunn together, which is just straight up cancer. Obviously, we have no faith in our bench. We have no faith in our player development right now, for whatever sake. I like Blakeney, but apparently the Bulls don't think it's direction. So you go ahead and get Marshawn Brooks, guy who peaked last year, in limited play with a bunch of G Leaguers around him, he'll feel right at home on the Bulls. And you get Chandler Parsons, we get another small forward who actually plays the position of small forward. Crazy thought.
But also long contract.
I mean, it's literally just next year.
But also more money than what
It's
Jabari's making.
$24 million this year, $25 million next year. So you got one more year, bad contract. What do we care? We're the Bulls. So they can throw in a future pick in there.
I think
It's the Grizzlies, so we get a future later pick, and they get someone who can add some scoring, who can be effective, helping when Jaren Jackson gets in foul trouble, you add in some offense to that game. Grizzlies get better.
And they are one of the worst offensive teams.
We get Chandler Parsons, who, obviously the contract's not ideal, but hey, at least shooting-wise, he's not terrible.
See, in some ways that seems competent, so it's not going to happen.
I think that actually would work out. We get double.
Yeah, but that's my thing is you're talking to a Gar Forman.
We might even give up
team, and also you're talking about Chris Wallace.
But yeah,
you're talking Chris Wallace and Gar Forman, probably the
that's
two
worst
worst GMs.
Marshawn. I clarified myself. I didn't say Dylan. I'm not being crazy out here. Give me Marshawn Brooks and Chandler Parsons.
I don't hate that. I don't hate that deal.
I personally
think it's a win-win.
I personally don't like it on the side of the Bulls, and the reason why
we're spending $25 million next year on something. Dude,
no,
you know something I don't?
You already got a Miro Seek.
Well, the thing
next year's only $3 million from him.
The thing that I'm looking at is
next year we already. It's 11 mil this year and 3 next year.
Like what with our money next year, what free agents can we go after if we keep a guy for next year?
Who wants to play for the Bulls right now? Do you see what's happened to this locker room in the last 5 years?
Also,
every single year there's a controversy.
Who wants to play with Jim Boylan?
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, and that's the first thing of like
our front office
we need a better
league
coach.
known as terrible. Mm-hmm. Our head coach is already hated by people.
Here's
the players don't respect him.
Mm-hmm.
No one wants to come here.
The first thing isn't the head coach. Like Jim Boylan.
I started at the top. I started at the front office.
Yeah.
I start even higher. It's Jared Reinsdorf. He needs to wake up. And Michael Reinsdorf needs to wake up.
Mm-hmm.
Like right now, apparently the focus is on the Chicago White Sox, which as a Chicago White Sox fan, I'm extremely happy.
Apparently I hear the White Sox are the front runners.
It's not even Bryce Harper. It's also
cash considerations.
It's also Manny Machado.
Yeah, cash considerations all around on the Bulls roster.
But here's the thing. Is
just move that money under the line.
One of them needs to wake up, and that's my point. And one of them needs to realize that loyalty is very brave and honorable, but it's kind of like when you have a deadbeat boyfriend, like, and he's just kind of sitting around and he keeps cheating on you.
You speaking from experience, Sean?
Yeah, I have a deadbeat boyfriend. I'm a deadbeat boyfriend, and when he's doing heroin and spending all your money on heroin, he's stealing and selling your gold for heroin.
But I can fix him.
And that's the thing is you're loyal, and people are like, oh, and then it gets to the point where it's like, oh, it's really glad you're fixing him, and then people are like, you're just an idiot, you're ruining your life, and then like your house gets broken into and it's him, then you find him like dead, like hanging from a computer wire because he's trying to figure out like how to unplug your computer so he could sell it for heroin. Like it's sad, but also you should have left him, honey. That's pretty much what Gar Forman is right now. That's my thoughts on Gar Forman, is that he is a deadbeat boyfriend, and Jerry Reinsdorf needs to wake up and do something about it. And I think it's not on Jim Boylan. It's not on Fred Hoiberg. It's not on Vinny Del Negro. It's not on Tom Thibodeau. It's not on good old what's that?
I love the Vinny mention.
Yeah, it's not about Scott Skiles. Like it's not about any of the coaches that have been under the Gar Forman regime. It's Gar Forman. That's the problem.
The analogy that I was thinking of for the coaching side of it, it almost feels like, I don't know why this first part would be it, but it kind of feels like it just in sense. If you've got a classroom and you're like, hey, we're going to start the year off with a long-term sub. We don't have a teacher for this role, but we will. And then halfway through the year, you fire that sub because you hired a new teacher, and the class is already like dysfunctional, and they're like, hey, we don't have to go, like, this isn't a real class. And then that teacher comes in and is like, this is how it's going to be, like a real hard ass. And the kids are like, who the hell are you? Get out of here.
Exactly.
Like, that's what's going on with the Bulls right now, where it was like, Fred Hoiberg, player coach, hey, you know what, I'm not that hard. And then Jim Boylan comes in and he's like just the iron fist of like, do as I say, and this is my team, and authoritative. And it's just not working. And it's not working.
Honestly, and here's the thing is I 100% agree with you. And I also feel like with Gar Forman, they probably thought they were hiring Jim Boylan again. The 2007-2008 coach who went who had a 42% winning percentage instead of Jim Boylan. I think that could definitely be something that's on the table. Because when I was looking up the coaching history, and I knew this was a thing that they had two Jim Boylans, but I didn't know the record. I have a feeling they were like, hey, Jim was pretty good back in the day. He's been in the league for a while, and he's been on our bench. He used to run these boys. I think we could hire Jim again. And they were like, oh, different guy. He's an asshole, and he's yelling at these guys. He put them through boot camp.
He just looks like a mean man. Not in a good
well,
way.
that's the thing is, if he was resting, I think that I would think of him as a gumdrop, like a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. I think of him more of as a softie. But then he starts when he opening, he's kind of like an ugly pit bull.
You know who I think could turn around the Bull? Like, who would have been a good coach for them to go after this offseason who could help turn them around? Mark Jackson.
Ugh.
You are still on the Warriors.
Where's Phil at?
No, it's not even that. We're far away from the Warriors. But, like, I feel like he could come in and work with the players and develop them.
Why?
Like,
He's been out of the league for 8 years. He's pretty much the same thing as Jim Boylan, just being a hard-headed asshole coach. Like, I don't see the point. What's the positive of Mark Jackson outside he has experience? You know, experience, Isaiah Thomas.
Experience helps. I mean, it's not a bad thing, but I mean,
Jim Boylan also has experience, kind of. I mean, worked under Pop. Like he's been an assistant for a while.
The thing that he doesn't understand is like he's trying to come into this role and be Greg Popovich, and he doesn't understand that
doing what he knows.
Like Greg Popovich earns the respect of his players.
He earned that respect 20 years ago.
And then when he doesn't, they leave the team. Like, do we want our team to be a bunch of Kawhi Leonards and just get out of town because they can't stand Jim Boylan? Because that's where we're headed right now.
Jim Boylan has rings. Jim Boylan earned his rings as an assistant coach for the Spurs, one of the best teams, best run organizations. So, like, this is why I don't feel like bad about this. It's just like that's who he is. We knew exactly what he was when we hired him as an assistant coach. We paid him the most for any assistant coach in the league coming into this. So what we expected was a championship pedigree style assistant coach to continue molding our players into great shape. The problem is that, like you said, it went from such a player-friendly team to now we turn and it's a guy who, he's got the rings on his hand. He's going, I've been there, boys. I know how we get there. And they're like, yeah, but not with us. Like, they don't have that level of respect for him because they only see him as like an enemy right now.
And I think if it was something, too, where he did this shit, like, later into the season, like, obviously it's bad after you have a win against that we saw against the OKC, and then you have the worst home loss.
Yep.
Like, that's something where it's like, all right, coach, we had a bad night, and we're getting adjusted to you being our head coach now. Like, I think if it happened, like, this happened in February, and you lost back-to-back nights like they did, like, in horrible fashions, then maybe you could do that and be like, hey, like, we had horrible effort out there. You need to earn the respect before you pull stuff like that. So I just look at this situation, and I think bringing in Mark Jackson, like, most of these kids are just going to remember as the guy that Steve Kerr replaced. Like, you're not going to get respect right away for being a guy who's been on TV for a while now.
I wouldn't say, like, just because of that, like, I don't think, obviously any coach that came in would have to earn the respect of the guys. Like, it doesn't matter where you came from.
No, I mean, I think
what are you going to do for this team?
Would be...
But there's an immediate respect. Like, you immediately have an idea of someone in your mind when you hear about him. And what I think about Mark Jackson, I'm not thinking, and I didn't watch Mark Jackson play at all, and the first thing I think of is, oh, that's the guy that Steve Kerr replaced to take over the best team of all time.
But if it was me, and this is also goes for anything like this, I would hope that the Bulls players have an open mind to where if a new coach, anybody, was coming in, that they would have that open mind first, and then after that first interaction with that coach would then make
why would they? Because now you already have Fred Hoiberg, who they possibly had an open mind about, and obviously, clearly he wasn't enough to make it. He didn't finish out his contract. And then Jim Boylan, they had an open mind about him, and now they're getting player meetings. Like, why would you have an open mind?
It doesn't help.
But why would you have an open mind, especially when you have this front office making the hires? Why would you have an open mind about this? Because they have a track record of not hiring the right coach outside of Tom Thibodeau, and then they pushed him out.
Because he was no longer effective as a head coach. It was one of those sad moments where it's like, you might be a good head coach, but our timeline and our team is not where it matches up for your skill set.
That's fine. But also, like,
I was okay with moving on from Tom. The problem was that, like, we didn't do anything after moving on from him to put us into a better position for Fred.
And that's because of the front office.
I agree.
So that's my point is, again, you can be right about Tom Thibodeau. I'm not saying, like, the Bulls fans should be praising, you should be bashing Garpax for getting rid of Tom Thibodeau. It's just they consistently make the wrong moves. It's not even like you can make a right move. Like, I think they made the right move about matching Zach LaVine. Then they followed it up, and they didn't make the right move with Jabari Parker.
Yeah.
That's my thought.
I think that, Ricky, you're wrong in the guess, or in saying that you'd hope they come in with a clear mind about Jim Boylan, because you got to remember, Jim Boylan is basically their practice
Or any
boogeyman
coach.
already.
Or any coach. He's
I'm
saying
talking
any coach.
about after Jim Boylan.
I'm
Like a new
saying-
coach after Jim
I'm
Boylan.
saying going into Jim Boylan,
Okay.
he was already the practice boogeyman.
Yeah, no,
Remember,
yeah.
Fred Hoiberg was having an interview, and he didn't realize Boylan started practice like 5 minutes
and
behind
he's like,
him.
up, gotta go, and then ran over
Like,
there.
Jim Boylan's the one running their
Yeah.
ass in practice. And I think that him coming in and then not having Fred Hoiberg to coddle the players or be their buddy, you
Good
know,
cop,
pull them
bad
on the
cop.
side. Yeah. They lost their good cop, and now they're just like, what the fuck is this? I'm just being yelled at all the time. Like, not everybody's responsive to that type of criticism. You were joking with me, and it's slightly off topic, but you were like, you know, I went and I tried to...
Miracle.
Well,
Is
yeah,
that what
miracle.
you're talking about?
Well, I was gonna say the flute thing, but
Yeah.
like when you try to get people to rise up to a different level, like there's different approaches, and not everyone reacts to the same approach. If you yell at them, if you challenge them, some people take the rise and they will meet you at that
Yeah.
level.
And-
Other people will just throw up their hands like, I'm done. Like I can't deal with you right
Yeah,
now,
and
and I think
for-
that's what they're running into right now.
Just to make that reference so they know what you're talking about is when I was in high school, I was in competitive marching band, and we
You
were...
Clear.
wait, you were a letterman in basketball?
No, it was a letterman in band. But what we had to do was the freshmen, our director wanted us to kind of get the most out of them because we didn't have a good rehearsal that day. And I remember I had all the flutes with me, and I was like, really like giving the pep talk. And I looked across the field, and the one trumpet player I know had the belief that they shouldn't even be on the marching field. So I said the line of like, hey, you know what? That guy over there believes you shouldn't even be out here. Prove them wrong. Thinking like, all right, I'm going to rile them up. They're going to prove them wrong and actually like get the best out of it. No, they just cried and went to the director. And the director was like, hey, I get what you're saying. I liked what you said, but kind of a little bit too
You're no
rough.
longer in charge of these
Yeah,
people
and
anymore.
You're
you
fired.
could be in charge of the
literally, he
clarinets,
was removed.
and so-and-so can be in charge of the flute. So it's like, it doesn't work with everyone. And it's like, right now, I think I know it's a small sample size, but it's concerning that...
So Jim Boylan's more of a clarinet guy than he is a flute guy, is what you're saying?
I don't know
Yeah,
if that's the case.
that's why we're reading into
But
this.
depending on how the last 23 seconds go, because I'm watching the game cast...
We came
the
back from down 20.
The Bulls have still only won one game since Boylan took over, and that was the game we went to.
So are we the lucky charm?
We are.
Maybe we
should
are.
go
Maybe we're the
What's the score
Boylan
right
lucky
now?
time.
94-93.
94-93 with 23.3 left.
The Bulls down 5?
Bulls down by one. Our Bulls up by
Bulls
one.
are up by 1 right now.
94-93.
93. Bulls up by 1 point.
When
23
we were down
seconds.
by 20.
I'm going to continue stalling talking about the Bulls here because I want them to have that conclusion.
Real quick, who's the ball?
The Bulls. They just called a full timeout.
Okay, cool.
So
DeRozan made a two-pointer. Bulls called a timeout.
Gotcha.
yeah, I look at this team and I go, you've got your movable assets in Jabari Parker. Holiday, outside of tonight, has looked like a above average 3-point shooter. Sean's being a creep right now.
What are you doing?
He's coming to watch.
I'm coming around to watch the game cast. They can still see me.
The Bulls are
Why
up by
don't you
3
guys
now.
just roll with something? I mean,
Yeah.
come on, God.
It
you don't have to...
concerns me. Chris Dunn made a shot, and now the Bulls are up by 3.
Okay, I mean, well,
Wonderful.
and
So-
the
Go ahead.
Spurs typically they're not a team to shoot 3-pointers.
Exactly. So we're putting him in danger. If we don't
Forbes,
foul, we're
is he on
good.
the floor?
Who?
Of course,
Bryn
Britain's
Forbes?
on.
No, he's not.
No?
No, he's not.
Oh, jeez.
They got Bellinelli.
They're in trouble.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
well, Bellinelli is a master of the fall away 3.
Go
Or
ahead.
the almost 3-pointer if he had only hit Philly. Sorry,
Go ahead.
Jake.
What you were
Sorry, Jake.
saying?
No, they've got their movable assets. Rolo, Jabari, and Holiday are the
hope
3
we-
guys
I
who I
hope we
look at.
move
Is
Rolo.
Jabari movable?
I think he
Yes.
is. I think $20 million
For only 1 year.
to basically write off at the end of the year, that opens up a lot of opportunities for teams going into this super glorious free agency class that, you know, a lot of people are hopeful, and I don't think they're going to be excited. I don't think at the end of the day they're going to be rewarded for that hope. I think a lot of players are going to stay put regardless of all the enticements. You know, the Katie's going to Chicago, Katie's going to Boston, Katie's going to New York. Like, watch Katie just re-sign on like a
Katie's
team-friendly
going to
deal.
LA to play
and
with
just-
the Clippers.
Or,
Going to
or if
OKC.
you do that. Yeah. Yeah.
It's coming home.
Spin up the fucking Supersonics again, boys. Katie's coming home.
What up, Sarver? Hey, we want to go back to Seattle?
That would be the coolest
I know a
thing
guy.
ever.
I know a guy.
Literally the coolest thing ever. Like, someone write a movie. That's it. That's it. We're restarting the franchise. So, no, I think that those 3 guys are movable assets, and I think Holiday has the most attractive contract and play. So, like, he's a guy who I'd really focus on moving.
So, outside of the players this year,
Yeah.
what do you think the future moves for the Bulls should be? At least, like, what do you think the core is? And then also, is the first move to fire Jim Boylan? If you're Jerry Reinsdorf, is the first move to fire Garpax? Is it to fire Gar? Is it to fire John? Is it to fire Boylan? Is it to fire all three? Is it to sell the team? What's your move?
Am I playing? I'm doing this as a fan or as like a 2K owner, or
What do you think is the best move?
I think the best move is
You have all the
control?
power in the world. What do you think is the best move to help this Bulls team for the future?
I am firing Gar Forman and John Paxton. I am removing Jim Boylan from his coaching duties at the end of the season. If the Bulls, the problem is, I started to think the Bulls should just keep losing and be fine with that.
I was going to say, can I take a step back from you?
Zion-
The first step is make sure we get a top 3 pick.
Yeah.
That's the first step. Make sure we get the top 3.
Ensure that now with the lottery, you cannot.
top
Just
three,
make sure we get the top
odds.
3 odds.
Top 3 odds. Because if you're in the
then
top
it puts
3
us in the
odds,
best percentage.
if you're number 1, you can't fall below 5, I believe.
Yeah.
So
but that's the thing is, even if you get top 3 odds, you're not top 3 anymore.
Correct. But it still gives us the best chance. Oh, we made another shot. We got this in the bag.
What was funny was Brian Forbes did get subbed in, missed his 3.
So,
Yeah,
Bryn,
missed his 3.
So we got it in the bag. So yeah, no, I think it's you've got to clear house from top down, and then you've got to
Get one of the Dookies.
You got to get one of the Dookies.
You got to.
100%. Because my mind is it's Zach LaVine, it's Wendell Carter, and it's Lowry Markkanen. Those 3 are your dudes. Anyone else is bonus.
Yeah.
I'm happy moving anyone like
Bobby's
Hutch. I haven't seen
expendable.
anything out of him yet to say that this is a franchise player. I think he could easily grow into it because not, like I said, not everybody's gonna come out year 1 and ball out.
Yeah.
But he's a guy with decent size, and I'd like to see him get more time in these games that are basically meaningless to us. So.
Well, and congrats, you just won again. Richie,
knocked ourselves out.
What would you be doing? Because I think you can agree with the big 3 stand of Levine, Carter, and Markkanen.
Yes, that was the big 3. The first thing I would do is trade Jabari by the trade deadline, trade Rolo by the trade deadline. I'm making those 2 trades before I even get to the end of the season.
Yep.
Kind of almost a no matter. I'm not taking on a big contract, but
Really?
any draft pick, if
So you're still hopeful for the free agency? You think we're gonna land a whale?
it would, in order to take a big contract to me, I have to be for sure that it's not I'm not looking for a big time veteran, but that veteran's going to fit into our plans. It's not going to be like a bringing D Wade in for the Bulls. It's not going to bring we're bringing in this guy because he's D Wade. He's from Chicago.
D Wade sold out the arena. I don't know what you're talking about.
We're not doing
Ryan Source playing 100%.
All the Bulls care about is selling tickets, and eventually it gets old. And the thing that's the first thing: trade Jabari, trade Rolo, get something for them because they're done at the end of the year. Then number 3, I'm surfing out orders or offers for Bobby Portis. If I don't move Bobby Portis, I'm not mad about it, but I feel like I can get something for him. Number 2, make sure I get one of the top 3. Well, the trades are all part of 1. Number 2, make sure I finish within the top 3 of the NBA draft, have the best odds to be the either 1, 2, or 3 in the NBA draft, get a Dookie. Before that draft, I'm firing Garpax. I'm getting a GM in place that I feel can help us moving forward. I fire Jim Boylan. I get a coach in there that is going to be matched. I hire the GM first, use that GM to help hire a coach, go into the draft, get a Dookie. Free agent, I don't think will be a huge splash.
Do you think we overpay for somebody with potential?
And
Again?
If it's a Jabari-like contract, yes, I would. But otherwise, I'm not overpaying. I'm filling out the rosters that I need to. And then at that point, it's the 3 that Dave mentioned, plus whichever Duke boy I get, and we're going to build off of that. And it's kind of like we got to hit the reset button, forget what has happened, new GM, new coach. These are our 4. Now we're moving forward from here on.
Is Chris Dunn safe?
No.
This season.
He's not an untouchable.
Yes.
But I don't think it's something where we have to move him. But if the right price is there, I would.
I think
right price is there, I would move
I've seen
him.
enough out of Arcidiacono to know that he's not the point guard of our future.
But Arcidiacono is your.
I think
Dave
Chris Dunn is either a
Dave.
6-man or like an off-the-bench point guard or he's our defensive guy to go pairing with Zach LaVine so we don't get crushed too bad.
If your plan is to lose, then what's the harm in starting
I
campaign
think-
or Ryan Arcidiacono?
No, there's no harm in that. I'm just saying, I would keep Chris Dunn because I think he's got potential to continue growing his shot. And if he gets a shot that's better than what it is today, He's now a two-way point guard, which is valuable in the NBA.
If it helps you to move Jabari Parker.
Depends what I get back. I mean, I came with a pretty damn good deal for Jabari.
Is there any player out there that you think that, maybe like there's a player that might be down in the dumps, might need a change of scenery that you would want the Bulls to take a shot on?
I know you hate it, but I would take a flyer on Markel. I would trade Jabari for Markel.
I said out loud. Oh,
no, I know.
Who wouldn't?
But I'm saying
Sixer fans, that's who.
Well, earlier, Sean said that he wouldn't want that for Markel. I think that Chicago could be a good place for him because it's like we could just say, hey, you know what?
We hang on to point guards too long.
Get yourself right.
Look at Derrick
We'll
Rose.
be here for you. Like
we're good with an injured point guard.
We need to.
We support you.
This team needs to buy into the rebuild. How do you do that? You fire everybody from the top and basically fire sale and start all over.
Knowing Chicago fans, it's fine if the organization's like, oh, take your time. But this kid's been babied so much, then, fans are already going to be bashing him on Twitter because he's a bum. He's worthless.
Have a tough
he's not going to be coming.
Yeah,
and then also,
situation?
if Jim Boylan's not fired, when he does come back, he's going to get the fucking bulldog that kids are, that professionals are already crying about.
Yep.
So, and you might also get Garpax. So they might fuck that up too.
Yeah, the
so I
odds
think
that
that sounds
Garpax
like the worst thing.
fairly low.
And honestly, I read an article from, I think it was the Tribune, that was very, very interesting. And they were talking about the Bulls situation. And they said one of the people to blame, they said this ironically, is Matt Nagy. I would also throw in like Joe Madden because look at the last two teams in Chicago that have made those big coaching changes. The Cubs win a World Series. The Bears get Matt Nagy. Yeah, I know they traded for Khalil Mack, and that really paid into it. But look at what the Bears are like. It's like we almost want those like instant gratification.
But here's the big thing. You know what they did before that though?
They built the team and were
you know what they did even before that?
Lot.
You know what they even know what they did before that?
What?
They fired their fucking GM.
Ooh.
Jim Hendry gone.
Yeah.
We got a guy who knows what he's doing.
Theo
Epstein. Oh, hey, all of good old fucking what's his face, Jerry Angelo, the dude that took over for Jerry Angelo. I forgot him.
Ryan Pace.
No,
Ryan Pace is the current.
He went after him. Phil Emery.
Yeah, Emery.
Phil Emery. Jerry
Fired.
Angelo. Gone. And you know what they gave Ryan Pace and Theo Epstein? Time. They give him time to build up the teams.
Yep.
That's
So
what
fire
they did.
Garpax,
That's
get
what
a
they did.
GM, give him time.
That's the first thing. Get rid of him.
Question.
Shoot him to the moon.
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 I'm going to shoot this at the non-Bull. Fuck it. I'm going to shoot at the Bulls fan first.
Shoot it to the moon.
With Dave.
Shoot
to the moon?
Hey, first.
Shoot it to the moon.
Shoot it to the moon.
How would
No.
you
Hashtag
feel?
Shoot it to the moon.
How would you feel if the Bulls fired Garpax, brought in Ryan McDonough?
Real quick. Hey, Moon. What would you think if the Bulls fired Garpax and brought in Ryan McDonough? A fan. He's a fan.
Yeah, there'd be a parade
Sun
in
and
Chicago.
Close.
We could hire literally anyone. Like it could be you, Ricky Widmer. You could be the GM of the Bulls.
I
There'd be
could
a
do it.
parade down
Michigan
State.
Avenue.
I'd say
Michigan?
Michigan.
State
Let's go
Street.
Michigan.
Pulaski, Kedzie,
I was
Cicero,
gonna- I was
all
gonna look
simultaneously. Western.
It'd be everywhere. There'd be parades
Southside Irish Parade?
everywhere.
No, it's going to be the Garpax Parade.
All
man.
around the
Dude.
loop. We just all around the loop.
Southside
we have a
Irish Parade danger levels of drinking going
We're
on
gonna
the Garpax
run.
celebration.
We're gonna
parade.
run the purple line just around the loop.
You thought the
Just
Cubs
blasting the horn.
parade had a lot of people. The Fire Garpax parade.
I say the Cubs parade will look like a joke compared to the Fire Garpax parade.
The Pope, the announcing of the new Pope. They're gonna blow the black smoke saying Garpax is dead, and then people are gonna start crying.
And then we'll have the white smoke when we find the new GM.
Exactly. People are gonna cry outside the United Center. It's a bad situation. That's all I could say. And as a non-Bull fan, I like Ryan McDonough, but also you're talking about the draft. So, and there's a lot of questions with his draft history.
Yep.
I think what you
Very
can't
hit and miss.
do is I think you can't go with somebody who has already failed. You need to go with somebody who is new,
Give him a
is
chance.
fresh, who is exactly like Ryan Pace in that way of you gave him a shot, you gave him time, let him do what he did. Ryan McDonough had that time, and he didn't do it well. And maybe, second chance is always good. But you either need to get somebody who has been fantastic before, like a Theo Epstein, or you need to get somebody who is brand new, needs the stench off of them. Maybe somebody who is in the Warriors front office, is in the Clippers front office, because fuck, that team looks good.
Yeah.
The Nuggets front office.
I mean,
the good old Celtics front office. Steal a Danny Ainge. I mean, that's where Ryan McDonough came from. Steal someone from Danny Ainge. I think that's the move. Is you need to take someone from a successful franchise and bring them over.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on the like. That's what makes most sense. I think there's 0 to 5% chance that Garpax gets fired this year.
I don't think it'll ever happen.
You think?
I'm almost like I'm back to
until like they literally die.
Until it like I'm not gonna believe it until it literally happens. Like it will one day. It will happen, and I'll be like, oh my god, don't know how to feel. Didn't think this day was gonna go. Like I'm gonna be rushed with emotions.
Yeah,
to where when I ain't going to work that day.
When
Gar
Gar Forman and John Paxson die, we're gonna call up the estate for Jerry West and ask to trade for his corpse to run our front office.
Here's the thing.
Oh man,
is I don't feel that I like John Paxson. Like when he was talking to the media after they fired.
He's
Hoiberg,
a likable guy.
He's a likable guy.
He is, actually.
Like he like and his answers weren't entirely great, but he was trying out there and he was out there. And Gar Forman, who's has more say and was a Fred guy, is just hiding in his office, doesn't even go to the games. Like Joe Colley had a great rant on a Sun-Times reporter on 670, just literally calling out Gar Forman.
Oh, jeez.
It was fantastic. It was the best 5 minutes of my life just listening to it. The guy's gross. Like he's a bad GM, bad basketball mind. I don't want to call him a bad person because I don't know him. But
here's the thing I'm going to relate it to, though, and this is a very me personally being an Illini fan.
Yeah,
it's kind of like how I felt with John Gross being our basketball coach, where it's like you'd hear him speak at press conferences, you'd hear him speak before the season, and you'd be like, John, I like you. You're a good guy. You can always get me riled up. But the bottom line is we didn't win basketball games, and that's why he got fired. The Bulls have to say it. Hey, John. You're really good with the media. You're a good face. But we're not winning basketball games. Sayonara, you're out of here.
That's Gar Forman we need to too.
Both of them.
So we're thinking for GM, someone who's been in a winning organization, who's had experience as an assistant GM or at least in a.
It's almost like we did that with our coaching system and see how that's working out.
What do you mean?
Take someone from a winning system.
Boylan?
Yeah.
But you also did that with
got rings.
Thibodeau. And Thibodeau had rings and it worked out.
Yeah,
and also this was not that was a preseason hire.
I think Boylan could be interesting. Should he survive this season?
Well, here first off, GM
0% chance we get rid of him.
Okay,
not this year.
If they do get rid of him, outside hire.
Oh, 100%.
Okay,
yeah.
Has to be. You're right.
Or or outside hire or somebody with no experience. Because my thing is you can't like then go out and get somebody who's a failed GM of somebody else.
Give me some nerd who hasn't seen outside light, like an analyst,
an analytics guy.
Go Moneyball for all we care.
Right,
why not?
Coach wise, what do you think the idea is?
Hinkie. We bring in Hinkie.
He's been banned from the game, and he also works for baseball right now. But I forget which organization in baseball. But
I would love.
I want to say
hired by the Bulls.
I would lose my shit.
I would go crazy. If they've replaced fucking Garpax,
we'd have a follow-up parade.
Oh my god!
Follow-up parade, boys. We're bringing it back.
All right, get off the Hinkie idea. Coach-wise, you're talking about Boylan. What do you think?
I just think that like you said, you go after someone who has a pedigree, who has won with another team, who comes from like I said, pedigree's great organizations in the past, proven track record. I wonder if given the time to break their spirits, he will be able to coach them successfully.
Break their spirits.
He has to. Like he's gonna go in there and be like, "Y'all are losers. You can't win basketball games. You're bad at basketball. I'm trying to help you. Let me help you. If you try and practice, we will get better. That's how practice works."
Yeah.
What are you talking about practice?
Ricky, what do you think about
and that's
coach?
what they're saying. And that's the like I feel weird that no one's on his side this argument. So I want to just give him a little bit of respect there because it's like, are you saying that 2 hours of practice is too much for you as a professional athlete making millions of dollars? You're not going to give me effort for a couple hours.
After a back-to-back and
but it's a back-to-back he lost miserably.
It's a back-to-back that you won one game, lost miserably, and then also it's collectively bargained that you shouldn't have that. So
is it in the?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
They literally had the ability to take it up with the Players Association.
I didn't know if that went anywhere. That's why
there's rules that they should not have it back to back. That's why players are pissed off.
Yeah.
So that's something that if your work was like, oh hey Dave, you're only gonna work 5 days a week, and then be like, oh hey, but your first 2 months, this is just
you're gonna work all 7.
This is after your first week. This is on Friday. Also, you're gonna have to work every weekend. Cool, thanks, bye. You'd be like, what the fuck, dude?
It's funny because I actually had to do that.
And there you go.
Were you happy about it? No.
So that's my idea. Ricky, what do you think about the coach?
I'd feel like right now with Boylan, I feel like he should have been an interim. interim for the rest of the year, then reevaluate it. See what he did the rest of the year. If you're happy with the product that he had after the year, then all right, fine. Then if you can then justify it to bring him back next year. Otherwise, bring in a new coach, because I just don't feel like what I've seen so far is not going to set us up for success. It's only going to piss off who we got. And when their contracts are done, they're either going to demand a trade to get out because they're going to be upset with it at one point, or when their contracts are up, screw this place, I'm going somewhere else.
And no one's going to want to come here. So it's just, it's cyclical.
I mean, Melo didn't even want to come here.
No one wants to come here.
Here's my idea for the head coach. Number one, what I think will happen if Jim Boylan is fired. Phil Jackson. 2, Rick Pitino. No, I'm not saying this is what I want. I'm saying this is what most likely going to happen if Gar
I don't think
is still in power.
I wouldn't be upset with Rick Pitino as the head coach.
I mean,
he's a bad person.
No. Morally
Also,
terrible.
Hasn't coached in the NBA for years.
But like, I mean,
Years.
I'd feel like we'd have a more competent head coach.
That's fair.
Yeah, like
Here's what I think. Here's the 2 likely
competent.
candidates.
Yep.
Phil Jackson, Rick Pitino. The guy that I think you should look at is a guy in college. I think you should go back to college because I know some people are like, Fred Hoiberg. But also, Fred Hoiberg had a heart condition, couldn't yell, and also didn't know the game. The guy I think that you should go after at UConn from Rhode Island.
No.
Kevin Ollie.
No, he got fired.
He
You
did.
do a college basketball program. Bobby Hurley.
Intriguing.
No, Dan Hurley. Dan Hurley.
Yeah.
Dan
I
Hurley.
was like, Bobby
the brother of Bob Hurley.
Former Dookie played with
Brother of Bob Hurley.
Yeah. Or no, I'm thinking Bob Hurley.
Yeah, Dan Hurley, former Rhode Island coach, now head coach at UConn. After his first year, they're already 8-3 after being horrible. I think that he's got swagger.
Jump.
He's got the smarts.
Why not Shaka Smarts?
Dan Hurley, because he hasn't been that great. He hasn't recruited well at Texas. They haven't won anything significantly. I think they haven't gotten past the round of
his stock
32.
has been tanked.
Yeah,
I think I would look at Tony Bennett first from Virginia. I think I would look at him first
All that defense.
before Hurley.
Dan Hurley. Love him. I love that guy.
Or
That
just
guy's
get somebody
got
who
NBA coach
understands
over it
the
and over.
3 ball and how to use it.
Y'all got any more of those Nick Nurses around? Anybody? Have we seen Nick Nurse?
Anyways, that was
We bring Stan Van in. He
That-
can yell, right?
We need a Van Gundian.
that was
Van Gundian rant.
That was a 44-minute therapy session, pretty much for all
Bulls
of our
fans?
Bulls qualms. Festivus is around soon, so we were just airing
Aaron.
our grievances.
Well done.
And also, I think we could all end it on a high note. Maybe the last 10 minutes were on a high note, but I think we could end it on a high note of shoot 'em to the moon, shoot 'em to the moon, shoot 'em to the moon, shoot 'em to the moon,
Shoot. Oh.
I apologize for our audio listeners.
shoot 'em to the moon.